And welcome back to the I'm Him Sports Podcast. My name is Matthew King, and alongside me is my good friend for a long time, Jacob Morris. And Jake, I want to start off today with I'm Him moments, so moments that we've had this week that we're super proud of ourselves. This week for me, my I'm Him moment is going Christmas shopping. I got a lot done, used my fingers a ton on that keyboard, and got so many gifts. I had to shop for my parents, girlfriend, and I'm super proud of what I got this year. And I feel like there are surprises because people ask like for stuff, but I feel super confident this year that I got stuff that they're not going to maybe know. So they'll be definitely surprised. So what about you? Anything that you're really proud of this week?
So something I'm pretty proud of is so that this past weekend was a tough one for me. I had a lot of emotional family stuff that happened, but I because of that, it was more of like a celebration sort of thing in a way, like, but right. It was still very emotional. And I'm getting pretty like blackout drunk.
Oh, fine,
Saturday night, and I actually made some good moves while I was drunk. Like I was very thoughtful of my girlfriend. It wasn't just like all about me. Like she appreciated that. Like I know it's kind of a weird one, but that's I felt like when she told me about it, because I didn't remember it obviously. So I was like, damn, I guess I can handle myself when I'm blackout drunk.
Well, I don't know necessarily about that. Totally.
I'm starting to learn. Sorry.
One person that's probably not proud of themselves though is Patrick Mahomes. If you didn't watch this weekend, or if you didn't see our TikTok that we put out, Patrick Mahomes had a meltdown this past weekend against the Buffalo Bills, and I thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world. You could tell his emotions. You could also see Patrick Mahomes' true colors. So if you didn't see it, basically Patrick Mahomes, there was a play where Travis Kelce basically lateraled the ball. They scored a touchdown, blah, blah, blah. You can go watch the play. I'll pull it up here. But it was an insane Hall of Fame play. And Patrick Mahomes was very upset about it. What do you think of his emotions and how he reacted after the game with Josh Allen?
Yeah, I'll get into that in a second, because like the offensive offsides on Kadarius Toney there, it's like I understand where he's coming from. Like I do. Like you rarely see a call. Like I looked it up. Like it's been called 11 times this year. They're saying they're putting more of an emphasis on it. But 8 of those were on offensive linemen, not skill players. So, like, I get it. But and if you go back and watch, and you go back and actually watch the play, like, Kadarius Toney is offsides. And, like, everyone says that you, like, as long as they check with the, like, referee, which he does, but he doesn't wait to get the confirmation from the referee. So, like, I understand the frustration and, like, the feeling of you don't call that play there. But, and that's one of the arguments I've seen a lot is that, like, especially coming from, like, Eagles fans and talking about how the Chiefs in last year's Super Bowl, that holding call.
Yeah, that's what I related it to.
That won the Chiefs the game. Yeah. And like the only good argument like back to that, I would say, is that actually altered like what happened in the play, like that holding call. So like for them to get it, whatever, but like technically the offensive offsides didn't happen. But what I will say is that the lack of sportsmanship from Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, awful.
After like all the bitching, all the moaning and stuff like that, but especially when he goes out to shake Josh Allen's hand.
Yeah,
like
that was
all
my
he
problem.
does is complain to him about what the call was and everything like that. Like whatever, like whether it was a bullshit call or not, like you get over yourself, you shake the guy's hands, you say your game, and then go ahead, keep complaining. But like it's always the head coaches meet in the middle of the field and the QBs do it. Like, and there should be some sort of respect, whether it's like there's you guys are heated or whatever, but like don't just sit there and bitch about what just happened in the game or whatever. So
right, I thought the same exact thing. I was okay with his emotions, but like going after the referee and like looking like you're trying to fight him, like, is a terrible look. But it happens. Emotions get a hold of you sometimes. I'm not perfect myself. I'm sure I would do something similar in that moment. But the thing that threw me off was that Josh and Pat are like really good friends. Like they're not just like football buddies. Like they go golfing a lot in the off season. They just played in that golf tournament at Capital One in the match. So you can tell they have a true like friendship. And the funniest thing to me is, and the clip's going to be pulled up here.
Best fucking call I've ever seen, man. Offensive offsides in that moment, man. Fucking terrible.
But when Patrick Mahomes was basically bitching to Josh Allen hit him twice on the chest and basically was like, I don't know what you want me to say. And that was my entire problem with the whole thing. And his press conference after was just a bunch of bitching, just like you said. It's just him saying like, and his excuse is, well, it's a Hall of Fame play, so we have to let it go. Like, no, you probably meant that it's not called a lot, so why are we calling it in that situation? But for him to basically say that the play was so incredible that it shouldn't be called, like, that's why we play football. Yeah. Like, to make those amazing plays, you have to be almost perfect, and they weren't perfect. And it is what it is. Like, I'm glad the referee made the correct call. I know it's not called a lot, but that was in a critical moment, and if the Bills would have lost off of that, they would have felt the same way the Chiefs are. So, like, you got to make the correct call in that situation.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, honestly, it doesn't help that the officiating this year has been questionable all year long.
Yeah, really bad.
And he's just kind of I feel like he's trying to piggyback off that. Like, yeah, we know the refs have been bad this year, but, like, if we really want to think about it, like, I know this is, I feel like the Chiefs get the better calls.
They get the calls it's like, a lot of people have said this. It's like the Tom Brady era. Yeah. It's the same exact thing. They get calls like all the time, like in big playoff games. I know a lot of Cleveland Browns fans who might watch this or might not, but they know about the play in the playoffs a couple of years ago where it was the head-to-head call in the end zone for the touchdown that would have given the Browns the lead and potentially sent them to the AFC Championship. So, like, I don't want to hear shit from them. Like, It's really, like, one regular season game. Like, if it's a playoff game, I get it. But, like, you know, they could have won the game in other facets. Yeah. Like, and that was another thing that I want to talk about. I know that we joked last week about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and about the problems there, but I'm just saying it might be Taylor.
2 games in a row with Taylor Swift.
I think it's 3 or 4 now. Yeah, it's pretty rough. But seriously, what do you think the actual problem is with Kansas City?
Man, that's a tough one because, I mean, honestly, like, at least, like, looking at the bigger picture of the entire year, like, their defense, I feel like is, like, way better than they were last year.
It's the best that Mahomes has ever had.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I don't know what it is, and it's not like I don't feel like they're not losing like high scoring games or whatever. It's just that offense can't put it together. And like another thing, I guess another thing to throw in there, like the frustration with that penalty. I feel like that was just kind of like the final straw, pretty much. Like, I feel like Patrick Mahomes is actually frustrated with this offense right now. I mean, Travis Kelce's obviously his boy, but like they just week 14, and like I still feel like they're just not in a rhythm. Like,
yeah, it feels like they're still in week 1.
Yeah,
like still trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, like I feel like at this point, like you had it figured out or you're not going to. Like, and that's kind of how I feel about the Chiefs going forward. And now I do say this, I still have so much trust in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid or whatever and Travis Kelce. Like, I think they can still make a good run here, but they're not the team that we saw last year where like they were like, oh yeah, we'll just have to figure it out. Maybe like they had Juju last year and everything, but like I still feel like they're still figuring things out, and you can't be doing that in week 14 of the NFL season.
Yeah, fully agree, but I will say that I am sitting back and enjoying every single second of it because I know it's not Mahomes. Like, it's not his fault, but I figured out why the Chiefs' offense isn't working, and it's not because they lost Tyreek Hill, but they don't have a guy that can stretch the field. They do have some fast wide receivers like Kadarius Toney, but he's not as talented, and nobody is as Tyreek Hill. Yeah. But it's not only that. The Chiefs this season, now this was a stat from 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure what the updated number is, so take this with a grain of salt. But as of 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs were 0 for 9 and 3 interceptions on passes 35 yards or more. So the problem is that the Chiefs, they're not able to push the ball down the field. And Andy Reid has always been a push the ball down the field offensive coordinator. Yeah. Now, not only that, they lost Eric Bieniemy, and I think that's more of a significant loss than what everybody's talking about. Like, I know that they said, like, Andy Reid was calling the shots and Bieniemy was just there on the sidelines. Like, that's untrue, and we see what Bieniemy is doing with Sam Howell. I know they're not winning games, but he has turned Sam Howell, and he's going to turn him into probably a top 15 quarterback just because I can see the development in him over the season. And for the Chiefs not being able to push the ball down the field, not being able to adjust, which is coaching. It's a coaching issue. And I think part of it is Eric Bieniemy not being there as well.
No, I didn't even really think about it like that. But to be honest, and I think if Washington was winning more games and we were doing better, that would be a forefront conversation, 100%. And like I guess like the Chiefs, they have MVS, but like as we've seen, you just read the stats, like they are not able to get the ball down the field. And I guess I don't know what's changed from last year because like I said, they haven't had that much of a turnover. I feel like in talent wise at the receiver position, but we've also seen. I mean, MVS catches that ball against the Eagles, they win another game.
Exactly.
And I feel like there's been a few situations like that where the shots are being taken, they're just not actually connecting on it, and for whatever reason, like they can't figure out a medium to short game either. So.
Exactly. And I think them this past weekend not having Isaiah Pacheco is huge too.
Yeah, for sure.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a decent game. I thought he ran the ball well, but just having that, I feel like he's an actual leader. Like in that offense, like you can see the motivation, the push from Isaiah Pacheco, and it just goes to everybody. Like it feels like the energy hits everybody.
Dude is like the angriest runner I've ever seen in my entire life. It looks like he hates the grass and the turf. Like honestly, like Kyle Brandt, like just give it to him every week because I feel like every time he touches the ball, he's running. He hates the ground, and then he hates the defender that's trying to like touch him, and it's nothing I've ever seen before in the NFL at least.
Yeah, I think there is going to be a huge argument now. This is a different conversation, but with running backs being paid in the NFL, because you see Isaiah Pacheco and also you see so many late round guys or undrafted free agents come and do the same things that these top tier guys are. And it's like, why are the Colts paying Jonathan Taylor $20 million a year? And Josh Jacobs, is he going to get paid this offseason? So that's a different conversation, but it's just crazy to me how the running backs this year are basically undrafted free agents or later rounds, and they're really producing and making a difference for their team.
No, and I hate to say it because I think the whole thing is bullshit. Like just because they have a higher injury for risk, like I get it, it's a business. Like the NFL is a business, so I get it from that aspect. But like these guys, unless you're, the only way I can see it now is unless you're a CMC type player that's an absolute game changer, like you're just not going to get that money. And I think it's going to stay like that because there is just so much talent at the running back position. Like. You only have one running back on the field, and yes, you can do rotations and stuff, but there's so much just guys out there that can do the same thing pretty much.
I know. It sucks, too. Like, I'm a guy that says don't pay running backs, but, like, I feel bad for these guys. Like, they truly, like, go out there and work and really do a great job, and it's like, we're just going to plug someone else in. Like, it sucks. Like, no one wants to see that happen, but it's just the reality of winning football games and being able to pay your quarterbacks and your receivers who are way more important to an offense in a pass-happy league offense.
Yeah, well, I think that's just the evolution of the league,
right? Since
becoming just a pass-heavy league in general. So
right. What about the Broncos? Now, I'll get back to the Bills in a second, but the Broncos have an actual freaking chance to win the AFC West, which is insane to me. Just like 7 weeks ago, they lost 70-20 against the Miami Dolphins. And now it seems like the Broncos are surging more than Miami is. So do you think, truthfully, I saw Nick Wright say it's impossible because he's a Chiefs meat rider, but do you think that the Broncos can actually catch the Chiefs? And I have their schedules if you need
so
it.
I have the Chiefs remaining games left here, and I need to see what the Broncos are. I looked at it briefly, and I just like the Broncos are just such a team for me that like you just don't know what you're going to get like on a weekly basis. Like obviously things have turned around from the beginning of the season, at least on that defensive side of the ball. I mean, they gave up 70 points to the Dolphins in week 2?
Yeah.
And so like whoever's calling that defense has definitely stepped it up and changed things, or maybe it was even just the players coming together and be like, that was
Sean
embarrassing.
Payton. I gotta give.
That's true.
I hate Sean Payton, but gotta give him his flowers, man. He turned it around.
Honestly, I mean, it's yes, they're only 7-6 right now, but like for them to be even in the spot they are, like I feel like that's a win. That's impressive.
Huge win
after what they went through last year, like in the embarrassment that they were last year. Like, and I don't know what. I guess he's just Russell Wilson is honestly playing really well, like really good football right now, and I credit most of that to Sean Payton.
Yeah.
So he's definitely turned things around. So Chiefs have the Patriots, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Chargers. Yep. Like all those you would think are winnable games for them or guaranteed wins. But we don't know what's going on with this Chiefs team. So who do the Broncos have?
Yeah, so the Broncos have the Lions this upcoming week, fraudulent. The Patriots, the Chargers, and the Raiders, which is super. It's about as easy. The Chiefs don't really have they might have a tough game against Cincinnati, and the Broncos have a somewhat, I'll say it's a tough game for the Broncos. The Detroit Lions, who just came off a bad loss too. So this might come down to week 18.
Yeah, because after the Chiefs have dropped these past few games, I mean, they're 8-5 now, and Broncos are right behind them at 7-6. And I don't know.
And the Broncos beat the Chiefs once this year as well. Yeah. So that's a big, huge tiebreaker that a lot of people aren't talking about. It seemed like it went under the rug, that game did, just because, the Chiefs always seem to lose a game to the Broncos once a year.
And it's a divisional game. Like you kind of expect it, but like you just don't expect the Chiefs to lose to the Broncos, like even in a divisional game. But man, I don't know. Like I said, I still have a lot of belief in this Chiefs team just because of what they've been able to do and what Patrick Mahomes is capable of. But man, just watching these past few weeks of the Chiefs, like I'm.
Is it recency bias though? So like, are we? Here's my problem with like all these like hot takes. Like a lot of people are saying the Broncos are going to win this division and the Chiefs are completely done. Like I think a lot of this is from recency bias. It's just like, oh, they've lost the last 2 games. Oh, we're done with them. It's the same. And even though I've hated on Miami, it's the same with Miami. They lose last night to the Titans, and it's like, oh, well, they're not winning the Super Bowl this year. It's a week-to-week league.
No, and that's why I'm saying, like, I have still a ton of belief in the Chiefs. Like, I do. Like, they're still one of the most dangerous teams, I think, in the league for sure. And if they do somehow figure out this offense, and like you said, maybe Pacheco was really just like what they've been missing, or what they missed this past week at least. And like, but also like I've been saying it for like I still believe in the Bills a little bit. So like it's not like they played a bad team and just lost to a terrible team.
Right.
Losing to the Packers, I feel like that's a little bit different of a conversation, especially after seeing this past week.
Yeah.
We can get into that in a little bit, but I don't. It's
who's gonna win it?
Who's gonna win the division?
The division.
I'm not gonna be crazy. I'm still saying the Chiefs are gonna win it. I'm not gonna go crazy here.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Chiefs are gonna win the division too, just because I think the Broncos dropped the game against the Lions this next week, and I also think that the Chiefs maybe drop one more game. I think they maybe lose to Cincinnati. But my worry is that from a Baltimore fan is that Kansas City is going to win these next 4 games and come into the playoffs super hot. Kansas City with Miami's loss last night also has a good chance to still get that number 1 seed because they have the lowest like rated remaining schedule or something like that from Baltimore, Miami, and Kansas City. Talking about the other side of this game was the Buffalo Bills. Before we get into their performance, there was some comments made by Sean McDermott. So if you didn't know this past week, back in 2019, Sean McDermott had some interesting quotes that were said to the Buffalo Bills as motivation. So in an attempt to emphasize the importance of togetherness, he cited the 9/11 hijackers who almost killed 3,000 people in the deadly terrorist attack on U.S. soil as an occasion where everyone was on the same page. So basically, he used 9/11 as a way to say that the hijackers were smart and they came together and did it deliberately, and we should act the same as terrorists. Your thoughts, initial thoughts?
So this was back in 2019?
2019. And it's just coming out.
Why is it just coming out now?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did he do it again because his team needs to get it together? Like,
I guess it must have motivated him this past week.
Did he have a little reference towards 9/11 again here recently?
I don't know. Some reporter found it or found out about it. I'm sure that someone from the team back in 2019 was pissed off at the Bills and finally was like, shit, I might as well just leak it. That's my thought.
Because I mean, I don't know why it'd be coming out 4 years later, like, but
they're just preying on his downfall. Like someone hates Sean McDermott. They were like, I'm keeping this in my back pocket until the Bills start going downhill, and it's like I'm gonna drop a.
I bet if they would have waited till after this week, it wouldn't have got dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
After they beat the Chiefs, but
nobody would care because he just won, but he was on the hot seat for a second. So
my thoughts. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. When I read that, like
Do you think it was actually motivational?
Am I fucked up for saying like I get what he's trying to get accomplished here? Like,
yeah, kinda.
They had a plan, they executed. Probably got to leave that one out.
To a T.
So I mean,
that's crazy to use that word. That's crazy. No, 9/11 jokes are funny. But
yeah, we'll decide if we're gonna cut that one.
Yeah, that one might be
later.
on the iffy on YouTube.
Yeah. Maybe TikTok. Kidding, we'll get banned.
They
for the
let
rest of our lives.
anybody get away with anything.
Yeah, but I'm kind of speechless to read those statements that he made. And I did one of the parts that actually made me laugh, like not joking about 9/11 or anything like that, but Sean McDermott was like, what was the hijackers' biggest problem during that? And one of the veteran players said TSA.
That's crazy.
But like, why would you think, especially in today's modern time, even 4 years ago, like that would be something like that would not get you at least like in the caution of like getting fired.
That's not even off the dome either. He dead ass thought about that. Like he went in there with a plan saying like, I'm telling you, this is going to get the team riled up. We're going to go on a run. Let me just mention 9/11 right on their head.
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't have mentioned that to anyone else, right? Like any of the other coaches, because like I feel like they all be like, "What the fuck are you about to say?" Like
I don't know, dude. These and this goes to any head coach. Like you got to be a crazy MFer to be a head coach, like anywhere. Like most head coaches in any degree in football are crazy as shit. At least our experience, we've dealt with like coaches that are like super passionate and like sometimes even go a little bit crazy. Like it is what it is. Like they're super passionate about it, but this just seemed like he went off the edge a little bit here.
Yeah, I think that one's just a little too far.
Yeah.
A lot of too far. Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of too far. And I just don't understand how there's no way, like imagine all of the players in the facility and in like their media room, like doing their, they're coming in, they sit down with their coffee, like they don't feel like being there. It's whatever, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and Sean McDermott immediately. So 9/11, and it's just like, there is no way. There's just no way that's how that went down. I'm just curious on how that went.
It would have been pretty cool if they won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, it would have been. Imagine that story came out after they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. He was probably, whoever leaked it was probably like, they're not going to win a Super Bowl. I'm going to just drop that in right there. But the Bills in general, they won the game. I thought Josh Allen played really solid. I've been very critical of him this year, and I was super impressed with Joe Brady's offense and how he used Josh Allen on the ground. He was running the ball more, dumping the ball off, giving whatever the defense gave him. Like, I thought the Bills played one of their best from first quarter to fourth quarter games. I know they only scored 17 points, but I was like super impressed with everything that they did.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I know you've been very critical of them, and like rightfully so. I mean, like, and even winning this game, the 20-17, like it's not outstanding, but it's also like the Chiefs are supposed to be. I mean, it's a different conversation now, but like they're still supposed to be like the top dog in the AFC. Like everyone's scared of the Chiefs, whatever. But no, like Josh Allen, like he had a good game, a solid game, like a game that. He only threw one interception. I mean, like that's
just
the problem.
One.
That's been his like biggest criticism and his biggest problem is that he turns the ball over way too much. I'm looking at 23 of 42, 233, a touchdown, and one interception. But at the same time, like no, obviously they were not scoring a lot of points, but they also stayed in it and they won the game.
And the defense came up big when I know that crazy play happened, but like. Nobody thought that Travis Kelce. I thought the defense played exceptional. They took away the deep ball for the most part, and they contained Patrick Mahomes and stopped the run. And I thought that they played really well as a unit. It felt like it was a unit this time.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those games that they absolutely needed. Whether it was a gritty game, like a low scoring, like, but it was one of those games that they needed, and especially with Miami's blunder last night, like.
That's huge win.
They're right back in that division, like chance to win that division. Like
I'm rooting for Buffalo. I have a huge parlay of like NFL division winners,
right?
And I think the only one that's not hitting currently is the Buffalo Bills. I could be wrong because I think New Orleans moved back into first place after this past weekend. So I'm a huge Buffalo Bills win the AFC East supporter. But also the time of possession. The Bills had 35 minutes to Kansas City's 24. I always felt like with the Bills this past season, they either score really quick or turn the ball over 3 and out. Like they're very hit or miss. But this year it felt like, or this game, excuse me, it felt like they controlled the clock and controlled the game how they wanted to. And if they play that style of football, they can really be dangerous in the playoffs, honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like for them to have that like that good of a game on defense with all the injuries that they have, like I don't know if like and Sean McDermott is calling plays now. And I just maybe they're starting to figure something out, like where their identity is on defense. And I know it's week 14, so they should have probably already figured it out at this point. But I mean, when you lose like key guys that they have, like Matt Milano and Trey White and everything like that, like I get it. It's gonna take some buffering time to get back to that. And that's I guess another point, like kudos again to Josh Allen, is I feel like in these big games, like he is just trying to force the ball way too much.
Yeah.
And that's when he throws these interceptions, and that's when he loses the game for them basically. And I guess he just found a way to not do that this week. And no, it wasn't pretty, but found a way to still hang on and win the game. So.
Yeah, one thing I was really impressed about Josh Allen is he took what the defense gave him. So I also saw that they have been thrown to the running backs more the past couple weeks. James Cook is getting really involved in the passing game.
Well, James Cook was a leading receiver for them.
Exactly. And that's so big for Josh because
Thank God
like
for
you
my
say,
fantasy team.
Yeah, I've got him on my fantasy team too. So it's been pretty nice seeing those numbers come up, especially before the playoffs. And actually, we just played in the final regular season game, and me and Jake had a chance to go. We went at it. Of course, the last game of the year, we go at it. And he was the number 1 seed, and I was the number 2 seed, but I was the number 1 seed all year. And Jake beat me, of course. And Jake, congratulations on the number 1 seed in the Groove City Fantasy Football League.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's huge.
Congrats to you for getting the number 2 seed.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't believe
first
it.
round bye.
Yeah,
that's huge.
It's so big, and we also have a toilet bowl. So Sleeper lets you do a toilet bowl. So basically, it's a playoff bracket, but it's for the losers, like a consolation bracket. But every time you lose, you move on to the next round. So basically, you don't want to get to a championship. And this year, we have a rule, because we've been doing this league for so long, is that if you lose the entire thing, you have to go into IHOP and you have to stay there for 15 hours. I didn't do 24 because that seems insane. And every time that you eat a pancake, an hour comes off. And the last person is Joe. And I asked Joe, I said, what's going to be your game plan if you end up losing the entire thing? He said, I'm asking for 15 pancakes straight up. I think that is impossible. I told him there's no way he eats 15 pancakes.
I don't know. I mean, Joe's a guy we know that likes to spark up a little bit. So, maybe he just goes in there, freaking already blazed out of his mind, and he just hammers 15 pancakes.
Do you think you could eat 15 pancakes?
I don't think so. Because you think about it, I'll make pancakes in the morning and stuff sometimes, like some protein pancakes or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I made 6 of them. Like, this is easy. And then I get halfway through and I'm like, oh my God, they're just so filling.
It's like they're so fluffy and you can feel it in your stomach.
Yeah. I think if my game plan would probably be, and thank God I'm not anywhere close to it. I'm at literally the opposite end of it. So I think my game plan was I just bring my laptop in there, watch 2 movies or something like that, and just try to eat a pancake every now and then just knock off the time. And I don't know, but
I don't know what my game plan would be. I feel like I would knock out 5 and then take an hour or 2 and do what you said, maybe get on my phone, look at TikTok, try to get through it. And then I would eat 5 more and try to just slowly, in batches, and burp it all out. But let us know in the comments what your game plan would be if you guys were going to go eat 15 pancakes or stay 15 hours in an IHOP. But back to the Buffalo Bills. Their remaining schedule is the Cowboys, which is really tough. The Cowboys look like the best team in the NFL after this past week, or Philadelphia's frauds. The Chargers, the Patriots, which the Patriots, I know, divisional game though, could be a tough spot. And the Dolphins, which could decide the entire division. So do you think the Bills actually reclaim that AFC East spot this year?
Well, it might be. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more because we have something coming up where we're going to talk about the AFC playoff teams. But I guess I'll just give it away now. I think if the Bills beat the Cowboys this upcoming week, that they're going to win the division.
Wow. Wow.
And I don't know how serious Tyreek's injury is going to be, and his ankle, and I don't know if that's gonna be an
they said he
ongoing
was
thing.
day to day.
Yeah. So that's, obviously he went back out there and played, but I also saw after the game he talked about it was hurting really bad, and if it's a high ankle sprain, that's something that's going to nag him for a couple weeks to come now in the most important time of the year for them. So, and obviously they did not look like the same team with him off the field. So, but anyways, I will say if the Bills find a way to beat the Cowboys this weekend, which the Cowboys look good, I think they win the division.
Yeah, I actually think Buffalo might win this week. This is a huge letdown spot for the Cowboys. I think betting-wise, just because that's how I think. So I'm like, everybody's going to be on the Cowboys. They just had 2 phenomenal wins, and they're coming in feeling good. I feel like it's a huge letdown spot for Dallas, and Buffalo is coming in knowing that they have to win all of these games, and Dallas knows, like, oh, we just beat the Eagles, we're going to win the division. Not so fast. So I actually think Buffalo is going to win that division too. But talking about the other team in the AFC East is Miami. And that was the one first of all, the 2 Monday Night Football games, I don't know how I feel about it because I hate the split screen kind of because it's kind of hard to keep up with both. Not a huge fan of the split screen. Do you like it?
No, I hate it, and that's what you guys can't see it, but we have a 70-inch TV mounted on a wall here, and it's like when you're trying to watch both games.
Huge flex, by the way.
Yeah, just a little
small
bit,
flex,
just a little bit. But when you were trying to watch both the games at the same time, like it just takes away from the value, and it's like I try to click on one game, and like unfortunately, fortunately, more better said is that the Giants and Packers game was actually exciting.
Yeah, super exciting.
It was super exciting, and so like I still wanted. I was like trying to watch the Dolphins and Titans game because I just like I don't know. I'm a fan of the Dolphins. Like I love their offense. Like it's explosive. It's fun. That's the big thing.
Right.
And obviously that game turned into a fun game as well. But like it takes away from the experience when you're doing like the multi-view on YouTube TV and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I don't when you actually expand it to the full TV like. It's just so much better. But
it reminds you like how much better it is when you click on it.
Yes.
And you're like, damn, I even said to my girlfriend last night, I said to Sarah, I said, I really love when it's full screen. I clicked and I'm like, dang, I forget how like nice it is when it is full screen. So not a huge fan of it either. Or they need to find a way to actually make it split screen, like bigger. Yeah. Like the boxes are so tiny and then the rest is just a black screen.
Yeah. Well, and it's different. Like when you're watching college football, like they do it like there's 4 games on at the same time.
Nice.
It fills up the whole TV at least.
Yeah.
Like with this one, it just puts it to the middle of the TV. Like I don't get it. I'm not a fan of it. YouTube TV, figure it out.
Yeah. So on that small screen that you were looking at with the Tennessee Titans in Miami, maybe the biggest collapse of the entire year. So I think this was the first time ever that a team has came back 14 plus points down with 3 minutes or less remaining.
Yep.
It is a record. I am very proud of that record because the Ravens held every single last minute, like giving up 10 plus points in the fourth quarter. So it felt good to see another team actually get some of that payback, especially Miami doing it to us last year.
Yeah, and I actually have it here, the stat that you just said. Yeah. Titans pulled off the first win by a team down 14 with under 3 minutes to go since 2016. The record was 0-767.
Holy shit.
There have been 767 scenarios where that's happened, and it's never been done.
Wow.
We just saw NFL history last night.
Yeah. It was insane, too, because not only did the Titans come back, they tried to throw the game away. So they had that oh, my God, I don't want to call him an idiot because he's in the NFL, and I'm not, so shouts out to him. I don't even know who he is, but, you're up more than me right now, so kudos to you. But my God, dude, how do you touch the ball in a punt situation, trying to catch it over top of why even reach your hands over? You know that there is a likely chance you're going to drop that. It just made no sense. And then they go and pitch the ball. Derrick Henry doesn't even look like he gives a shit. Yep. And they fumble and they give up 14 points automatically right there. Yeah. And then the Titans get it back and win the game. That was insane because the Titans look like they want to lose. Yeah,
no, 100%. I mean, it was 13-13 all the way until the last 5 minutes of the game, I feel like. And kudos to my fantasy team. I think Raheem Mostert scored the last 2 touchdowns, so that was huge. And that was for the team that I showed you that. And I'm in a dynasty league that has defense and defensive players and stuff, but I scored damn near 300 points because of that.
That is insane. That's got to be a record.
Yeah. I feel like it's got to be up there. But anyways, I just at that point I almost just turned it back to the Giants and Packers game and just watched that the rest of the way through because I was like, oh, it's over. It's 27-13. There's no way this offense, and as much as I kind of like Will Levis, I was like, there's no way he can lead them on 2 touchdown drives, scoring drives, in the last 3 minutes of the game. And hell, if I didn't get an update on my phone, I was like, wait a second, I gotta go back to this shitty ass multi-deal.
Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe that the Titans came back and won that game. Especially, it wasn't just Miami losing that game in the fashion that they did. They lost it in probably the most pivotal game in the season this year. They had a chance to jump to the number 1 seed and overtake Baltimore. Shout out to Miami. And they lose. And you know what it taught me is that Tua Tagovailoa is not the same quarterback without Tyreek Hill on the field. And I will stand by that. And they will not win anything without Tyreek Hill. And he might be the MVP of the league just because of, you could see, and I know Miami didn't have some of their offensive linemen. That was a huge problem as well. But it just felt like Tua didn't have that go-to guy, which is crazy because he has Jalen Waddle as well. And it just felt like, maybe Miami's offense is relying too much on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, no, I mean, at this point, especially after watching last night's game, Tyreek Hill is the MVP of the NFL this season.
Wow.
And I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business that Tyreek Hill is the MVP because that offense after and I guess this might have been at least the first time I remember the season that Tyreek has not been on the field for most of the game. They looked abysmal. They looked awful, and I know that's accredited to the offensive lineman being out and whatnot. But they still have so much talent on that team. They've still got 3-4 of the track stars on that team without Tyreek Hill. But Tyreek Hill, he's also on pace. I feel like he's still on pace to have over a 2,000-yard season.
I think he is.
Because he still came in that game and got 60-some yards.
Yeah.
After, I think because I put him in a parlay, of course, for him to get 70 receiving yards, and he finishes with 61. But he ended up getting 40 yards after he got hurt. He's still just the most explosive player in the NFL, which is it's crazy to see what he does, and the crazier thing is to see what that high-powered offense is without him. Yeah, it's just not good without him.
Yeah, not only that is that Miami. I know the Titans weren't a winning football team last night. Record-wise, they're not above 500, but Miami has only beaten one team above 500, and guess who that was? That was the Denver Broncos back when they were trying to figure stuff out. So really, was it a win against a winning team? Probably not. So Miami I knew this would happen. When it gets colder, I know they were in Miami last night, but imagine them having to go to Baltimore, Kansas City. Yeah, they play the Bills last season, and I think they play in Miami. Yeah. So that will be huge in itself. But I'm telling you, if Miami has to go on the road to one of these cold teams, they need that number 1 seed because being in Miami in that weather is such a huge advantage for them. But I'm just going to say, I think that I was on Detroit Lions were frauds. I said that 3 weeks ago. I said the Buffalo Bills were frauds. I might be wrong about it, but I'm standing on business, just like you said that. Now I'm saying the Miami Dolphins are in that category because when you look at Baltimore, when you look at Kansas City, when you look at the 49ers, when you look at the Cowboys, they are not even close to that level, and I haven't seen that all year because they keep beating these bad teams, and it's not like how Dallas was. Dallas was still trying to figure shit out, and now they've got it all together in week 14, and I feel like the Dolphins are starting to slide off and not getting the offense together when someone stops Tyreek Hill. So I don't know. I'm just going to say that the Dolphins are very fraudulent, and all the Dolphins fans who came after Lamar Jackson this past week, I let you fucking have it. So they were saying that Lamar Jackson was carried by Tyron Wallace, or Tyron Wallace, carried by him because he had a punt return for a touchdown like Lamar.
Yeah, I saw you going after, what is it, Neil Driscoll?
Yeah, I don't even want to shout him out. Sorry. I'm a bleep that out because I don't want to give him any more fame. But they were saying that, and you know what's funny, Miami, is that Lamar Jackson, in this situation, to win the game, went down and won the freaking game. The defense gave up the final field goal, and then they had the punt return. But when the game came down to it, Lamar won. Tua Tagovailoa had the same opportunity last night. He couldn't do it. All right, so the playoffs are coming up. So I want to know who the AFC playoff teams are for you at the end of the season. Not as of right now. I want to know who you think is going to get into the AFC playoffs this year. And there are so many teams above 500. It might be the toughest conference we've ever seen.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just start it off here. I will start from. I'll go 1 to 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 to
Start with
7.
that. So I am a true believer because of what's happened in these past weeks that the AFC is just trying to hand the Ravens the number 1 seed. So
Yeah.
I'm putting them there at the 1 seed, putting the Chiefs at 2, putting the Jaguars at 3. I'm for now I'm saying the Dolphins are 4, Bills at 5. If Bills beat Dallas this week, I think they jump up as the division winner to 4. Dolphins at 5, and then I'm putting the Browns at 6. I don't know what's been going on, but Joe Flacco has been electric with the Browns. And then I think that the Texans are going to figure it out and find a way into that 7th spot in the playoffs.
Wow. Okay. We have something similar. So for my AFC playoff teams, I actually have, this, and we'll get into this in a second. This is the year. I'm telling you now on this show, this is the year that Baltimore does it. They're going to the Super Bowl. I have a bet on them to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. Don't love the Eagles part. I did it 2 weeks ago. But this is a team of destiny. Everything is going their way. I know all the quarterbacks are getting hurt, but this is the year Lamar stays healthy. Everybody else is getting hurt. Baltimore is going to be at home, and everybody says that having that home field advantage is so important. I don't care about 2019. Baltimore at number 1. Kansas City at number 2. Jacksonville Jaguars at number 3. I actually have the Buffalo Bills at number 4. Then at number 5, I have the Miami Dolphins. They slip into that 5 spot. I think Buffalo beats them the last game of the year. Then I have the Cleveland Browns. You know what sucks about that is if Cleveland wins that game, that first game, they have a true chance to play Baltimore. And it's going to be a Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco showdown.
I love that.
Yeah, that would be super cool. I would, and for all the Ravens fans that are rooting for Joe Flacco, like, you can go fuck off. Like, I'm not rooting for him one bit. I hope he sucks. Like, good for him though. Like, I'm super proud of him to come off the couch and like do this. He deserves a job. But like, can you just fuck off for like 3 weeks? Because they have a true chance. If Baltimore falls off, they could win the division somehow, but I doubt that. And then at the 7th spot, actually, I don't think Houston gets in anymore. CJ Stroud having the concussion, they really needed to win this week. I'm a huge believer in Denver. I have the Denver Broncos getting in at the last spot. Their last couple games, I think they only drop one of them. I think Houston has to play the Titans twice, and they have to play 3 divisions in their 3 divisional games in their last 4 games. It's going to be a rough ride. CJ Stroud had an amazing year, but I think Denver gets in. All right. So speaking of the playoffs, I wanted to rank the top 7, so 1 through 7 with all the current playoff teams. So rank the quarterbacks in the AFC playoffs right now from 1 to 7.
Okay. So from 1 to 7, and you might hate this, you might not. You might still respect it. I'm going Patrick Mahomes at number 1 still.
Obviously.
Yeah,
obviously.
And that's so I'm trying for this list. I was trying to decide if I go off of this year, if I go off just collectively, like who I think is the better quarterback. So
yeah, and this is playoffs too, so that becomes implications too, just because of how they've performed in the playoffs and how you would want them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's. But I also saw something that this could possibly be the first year that the Chiefs have to play an away
road.
Yeah,
on the road.
Yeah.
Which I think is blown out of proportion, by the way. I think he's going to perform well on the road.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a huge advantage for them to be at Arrowhead and everything like that. Yeah. But I don't.
It's going to be tougher for sure. But I can see them going into any of these teams, building and beating them.
Okay, so I have Mahomes at 1. I have Lamar at 2.
Okay.
I've got Trevor at 3. Trevor Lawrence at 3.
Okay.
I've got Tua at 4.
Okay.
And then I've got my man Minshew Mania at number 5.
Nice. Okay.
And then as it sits, and just what I've seen, and because of the playoff experience, I'm going Joe Flacco at number 6.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then number 7 would be whoever the fuck the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to put out there at quarterback. Whether that's, it doesn't matter whether it's Pickett, whether it's Trubisky, whether it's Mason Rudolph, does not matter to me.
Okay.
I'm putting them in the 7 slot no matter who plays.
I think that's an obvious. The number 7 and the number 1 are obvious. It's those two.
Yep.
For me, the AFC playoff quarterbacks. Now remember, I'm going off of also playoff experience and who'd I want in the playoffs because it is a different game than the regular season. So please keep that in mind. I have Patrick Mahomes at number 1, Lamar Jackson at number 2. No, he's had tough playoff experiences in the past, but with the team that's built around him right now, I feel like they're getting on a roll. I feel like being at home will be a huge advantage. I'll take Lamar in this situation. I also went with you. Trevor Lawrence at number 3. Now, this is where it gets tricky. I have Joe Flacco at number 4. And the reason for that is because I have seen January Joe. It is a real thing. And with the Browns having the weapons that they do around him, I love Joe Flacco in the playoffs this season. Anybody who plays him should be scared. It's not going to be a freaking rollover. He does not back down from those situations. At number 5, I have Tua Tagovailoa, which a lot of people are going to hate that. And then I have Gardner Minshew and Kenny Pickett. What about your NFC?
Oh, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even in my head I was talking about how good Joe's been in the playoffs. I don't know why I didn't put him higher.
Yeah, I know you got. I got my bag.
I don't know why. That was wow. Okay. Well, in the NFC, when I'm kind of rethinking my list right now, but I'm gonna rock with it. So I have got Dak at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Hurts at number 2.
Okay.
Purdy at 3.
Okay.
Goff at 4.
Okay.
Baker at 5.
Okay.
And then I'm still not on this train, but because you hype him up, I'm gonna go Jordan Love at number 6.
Okay.
And I guess just Dobbs at 7.
Well, I guess Nick Mullins now.
Oh, true.
Yeah, he was named the starter.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But and I'm gonna be honest, if this might get a lot of Eagles fans riled up. If we're going off just based on this year and how people have played up to this point, I think I'm switching Purdy and Hurts.
Oh, you're putting Purdy
at
number 2?
I'm putting Purdy at 2.
Oh, wow.
I'm putting Hurts at 3.
Oh, wow. I had that discussion back and forth, too. We almost had the same exact list. I thought we were there for a second. I went Dak number 1. I almost didn't put Dak at 1 because of playoff experience. I take that into mind. But because of the team around him, I think that he's performed well in the playoffs. I just don't think that it's panned out completely for him, and I think this year they've got it all together. So Dak at number 1. I do have Jalen at number 2. Playoff experience, dog, not going to lose in the playoffs, guy that I want on my team. Brock Purdy at number 3, just because he did perform well in the playoffs last year, but I need to see a little bit more out of him. I saw Jalen win more games, go out and just absolutely dominate in the Super Bowl. So I like Jalen at 2 and Brock at 3. And then number 4, I have Jared Goff. I think Goff has had good playoff experience. He's made a Super Bowl before. I know that he's had some issues, but he can keep up with the best of them. If the time comes, you know that he can play in a shootout. I like Jared Goff. Number 5, I actually have Jordan Love over Baker Mayfield. I love Jordan Love, as I've said in the past. I know that he's never had playoff experience before, but Baker hasn't had much either. He has 1 win in the playoffs. And just with that Packers team, when they're put together, I think Jordan Love is at his best. So I would take Love. Baker at number 6, and then I had Nick Mullins at number 7. Speaking of Jordan Love, I mean, tough game yesterday. I don't think he played that bad. Tommy DeVito is a dog. Certified dog. What'd you think of that game?
So I was going into it, like I said earlier, like I thought I was not going to watch much of the Giants Packers game, to be honest. And I honestly I think I prefer it more when the games start at staggered times, like earlier in the season when one started at 7
why didn't it
start
start like at 6 and 8?
Yeah, if it was like that, I'd love that for sure. Like getting to watch more time of football. But I was pleasantly surprised for that to be one hell of a game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not bought in on this Jordan Love thing that you got. Like your love for Jordan Love. Like I don't get it. So like
he won the game yesterday. He did. Like he went down, and I know it was the punt return with an intercept or the fumble from Saquon Barkley, but he threw the game-winning touchdown. It looked like. I blame the Packers defense. I thought Love played pretty well. Honestly, I thought he played well because I think the Giants defense is very underrated. I think they're a top 10, top 12 unit in the NFL under Wink Martindale.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't really pay much attention. I was more excited to watch fucking Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, that was
and
fun.
That Giants offense. I don't know if this is a weird thing to say, but like the DeVito family and like watching them and seeing like I don't know if you guys have seen like their tailgate before the game.
Yeah,
and
they
then
go
them during
hard.
the stands and stuff. Like I wish I was Italian. If I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's wrong to say, but like.
But do you think it's kind of the underdog story too? Like it's like they did not expect this at all, so they're just like taking it all. It's such a cool moment because it's like a guy who you probably never thought would ever get a chance in the NFL, like is doing what he's doing now. It's a insanity run. It's gonna freaking run out at some point. They're just enjoying every single moment, and it's so cool to see.
Right. But I think like there's a lot of people that have that same sort of run, and like their family's just still like very humble about it. And like I'm not saying they're not being humble about it, but like they're showing their emotion. They're showing.
Yeah, they're
like,
kissing each other, hugging each other.
The Tommy Vito's dad is giving his agent a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, did you see what his agent looked like?
Yeah, what a
with
guy.
With the freaking fedora on,
Yeah.
Dude was freaking locked in.
That dude knows some people for sure.
He does.
He knows some people.
He's part of the mob.
He might be.
He's part of the Italian mob.
And we might get whacked for even just saying that. But,
I'm going to get a call from him here shortly.
No, I mean I love the story, and like you said, it's going to end eventually. Like I love the way the kid's playing right now, and they've won 3 or 4 without Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was 1-5 with the Giants.
3 in a row.
Yeah, they've won 3 in a row, 3 out of the last 4. I mean, I don't know what's going on there, and I love to see it as a Commanders fan, if I'm gonna be honest, because we're just keep jumping up picks.
Right, exactly.
Every win that these teams get, like I'm at this point, I'm pulling for the Patriots to win a few more. And then we're hopping up to that number 2 pick. So
yeah, what's interesting to me more than the game last night is Tommy DeVito playing so well shows me that Brian Daboll is a really, really good head coach. And all those reports about people not liking Brian Daboll, I think it's bullshit. I think he is a true motivator. He's a really good offensive-minded coach. And I saw Colin Cowherd say that more teams need to hire more offensive coaches, which I think is entirely true because if you look at the playoff, if you look at who's in the playoffs right now, all of them have offensive coaches except for the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, which I thought was very interesting. But not only is that interesting, but you talked about the draft. Right now, the Giants have the 8th pick in the draft, so they're in the middle of the pack, but they're in a prime position to get a quarterback. Maybe Michael Penix, maybe Jaden Daniels, who knows? Maybe even Bo Nix. What do the Giants do? Because watching Tommy DeVito, I think it's more Brian Daboll helping Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito more than it is Daniel Jones performing well, especially after what we saw last year and him getting that stupid massive contract.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Giants are still just too many pieces away from like just plugging in a quarterback and being there and like ready to win. But it's also like they've already paid Daniel Jones. They've already
right, but excuse me. I think they have a good opt out after next year.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, I think they have
Okay.
it. I think it's 2 years, and then they can opt out of it without much dead cap. So they kind of structured it well, but it's still a really bad deal.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean. I guess they had a good season last year, and like that's like they were like, okay, we can win with Daniel Jones, but like I don't know how you can look at his performances and look at him and be like, oh, he's our franchise guy, like he's a guy that's going to get us over the hump. So, this is a deep draft when it comes to quarterbacks. Do I believe in the people that we get to after like these top end guys? Like, do I think a Bo Nix would actually be that much better than Daniel Jones? You think so?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you let's take out Bo Nix. Bo Nix might be great, not great. I think he might be a good quarterback in the NFL in the right situation because he's more mature.
Right.
But I think he's played a lot of games.
Yeah, exactly. I think he needs to be a later draft guy, like a later in the first round or something
but
like that.
But like if you plugged in Michael Penix right now to the Giants, they are automatically a better team. Automatically. And not only that, if they can get Saquon back on the deal, he's a guy that deserves to be paid like CMC, for sure. Him and CMC they're not on the same level, but Saquon is like that kind of guy. I think they get the quarterback, they get him a top-tier receiver. They are a playoff team. Like if Wink leaves, like that's going to be a huge loss, even though I think Wink Martindale's a little bit overrated because he blitzes too much. I just experienced it. It works for a little bit, but whatever. Michael Penix in that offense with a good wide receiver would succeed under Brian Daboll, and I think it would take them to the next level in a couple years. I think it's just a better outlook in the future than it is with Daniel Jones.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hate to say it because I'm a fan of another team in the same division, but I think I think their best option is to get a talented quarterback at least into the organization, and they start building around him now.
Yeah.
Because I'm right there with you. Like, I am a huge fan of Brian Daboll. Like, and you don't win Coach of the Year in the NFL without being a good coach.
Right.
Like,
And I don't get where this, because he yells and screams, like, come the hell on.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about soft. That is soft. And I don't think the players believe that.
Well, I
think
think the NFL culture has changed so much. We got the same thing with Eric Bieniemy saying that the players were complaining because he coaches too hard or he has an old school
but they
sort
win.
of way. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, and I think the league has turned soft a little bit. And I mean, I guess that's tough for me to say sitting from a recliner in my basement right now, but I think just what I know.
Hey, you're winning. You're winning in my book.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I'm doing good. But I don't like, and I don't. This is totally off topic, but like, I miss the old days of the NFL. If I'm gonna be honest, like,
yeah, I watched some clip. I saw a lot of people talking about that, like the defenders, like making those.
Like, I was just watching. It popped up on TikTok. It was like one of those old school like YouTube things of like the hardest hits in NFL history and stuff. Like, I know it's like it's not good for player safety and everything, but like, I miss the Ray Lewises and the Brian Dawkins of this league. Like, those guys that were just tenacious and nasty, and like, it's better for the players now for their safety and everything like that, but like, those were just like the golden days of the NFL for me, to be honest. But that's just relating back to Brian Daboll being an old school coach and everything like that. But no, I think if they get a quarterback, a talented quarterback, a young guy into the organization, Daboll works with him, and they build up that offense, I think I'm not far off from them being a playoff team, just like you said.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think that what the Giants need to do is they need to trade up and get the guy that they want and go all in on him. I think that they have the draft picks. It doesn't seem like it always seems like they're trading down. Don't take my word on that. So I'm sorry if I'm wrong and the Giants don't have any freaking draft picks. But if they have the picks to be able to trade up and get one of these generational guys, it would completely change their franchise. And you just have Tommy DeVito on the bench and have him for the vibes. That's how I think. But speaking of another backup quarterback, so I am going to stand on this, that Joe Burrow is a system quarterback. Joe Burrow is a system quarterback because I'm watching what Jake Browning does, and it looks like the same exact player. And I'm giving a shout out to Zach Taylor because all the Bengals fans hate Zach Taylor. And they said that like his offensive play calling is too stagnant and he's always off and on. He's turning Jake Browning into Joe Burrow. That literally, if you put number 9 on Jake Browning, I wouldn't know the damn difference. Jake Browning is not, there's no way he's that good. I don't believe that. Not one bit, and I think it's Zach Taylor, and that offense is just really built well for Joe Burrow. Great, but I think that Joe Burrow this is proving a little bit that that Joe Burrow is a system quarterback. What do you think?
Coming from your argument, I guess I see what you're saying.
You know, Jake Browning's like one of the 3 quarterbacks ever to have 350 plus yards at 70 plus completion percentage. I think he's up there with Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson. Those are the only 2.
I did not know that.
Yep.
No, I mean, Jake Browning has been doing well for the Bengals. But I guess until I see him lead them into the playoffs and potentially to a Super Bowl berth, that I can't stand on that.
Okay, all right. Put it in this situation. The Bengals go and win a playoff game on the road. He has a really good game. The next game or the game after, if they make the AFC title game, let's say they only make it to the divisional round. He plays well, but they lose. Is it I mean, everybody talks about every other quarterback and how they're system guys. Like, I mean, tell me that you don't watch him and you don't see Joe Burrow. Like, I deadass watch him and it looks like the same exact player. Like, maybe Joe's a little bit more mobile, but the way that they play the game is just like with swag, with like intensity.
No,
like they care.
I do see that. I do see that. Like that primetime game.
I'm not saying they're the same player. I'm just saying that they look like the way they play is the similar. And I think Jake Browning has bought into that offense so much because he's been through so much. Like, I just think I think Zach Taylor deserves a lot more credit. Is my point.
Gotcha. Okay. No, because I see that because like I didn't watch them that much this past week. But that primetime game that they played in 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, against Jacksonville.
Yeah. I just saw a lot of he was putting the ball where it needed to go to his amazing playmakers, and then they were making plays. Like that's
sounds familiar. It's like Joe Burrow just throws to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon and blah 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 every single like it just I just feel like when Joe's contract extension hits in the next 2 years, they're screwed. They did not build their team correctly. They want to win now because, okay, let me take that back. They built their team correctly by getting homegrown players and getting superstars because they were picking in the top 5 every single year. It's not hard to win this league when you get a top 5 pick every damn year. It's not freaking hard because when you get generational players back to back like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you're going to freaking win. Doesn't matter. I'm telling you that when that extension hits and they lose T. Higgins, they start losing their defensive guys. They have a lot of money in that offensive line who is not producing. I'm telling you that Joe Burrow contract is going to come up again, and they're going to be like, same conversation as Lamar. Was he worth $250 million? I'm just putting it out there.
Okay. I guess we'll see. I guess we will see.
Do you think Browning can? I mean, do you think the Bengals are actually going to make the play? I think they have I think they're dangerous. I'm truly more scared of the Bengals than I am the Browns as of right now, just because of the way Jake Browning's playing. And I didn't even put them in my playoff. I probably should. Honestly, like I might change it up. Like I like Cincinnati.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at Cincinnati to get in there on my last spot, but I don't. It's tough because comparing the two teams, like just comparing the Browns and the Bengals, I think with Jake Browning, the Bengals still have a better offense than the Browns do, but I still believe in this whole factor of like a defense can get you far.
Yeah,
and I still very much believe in this Browns defense. Like I know they haven't been doing as well as what they have been like in the first part of the season, but I still think a defense in this league can carry you a long way. I'm just a big believer in that a defense can no longer win you championships.
No, and absolutely not.
You have to have an offense that can produce points.
Yes.
Because no matter who you're going to meet up with, because the other team that's coming out of that other conference is going to have a good offense.
Exactly.
And that defense can only hold up for you for so long. Like, look at the past few Super Bowls. Like, it's always been like, at least in the past few, like, I feel like it's been pretty high scoring games. Like, you've got to have an offense that can produce with it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's out of the realm that this Bengals team can sneak into the playoffs, to be honest, with what I've seen from Jake Browning and this Bengals team the past 2 weeks. So
yeah, I think they absolutely, and I think that they have a favorable schedule as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up their schedule real fast. So the Bengals play the Vikings, true chance to win. Steelers, real good chance to win. Chiefs, I'll say they lose. That Browns and Bengals game, the last game of the year, might be a must-see TV. That might be who decides to get into the playoffs. But I think the Browns would win straight up right now just because of the defense. I think it would be Jake Browning. I mean, Joe Burrow struggles against the Browns every single year. So so the other AFC North team, we're going to go through this pretty quick. So I want to go through the AFC North real quick. So Ravens, right? Team of Destiny. You said it yourself. Do you think that the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl this season? Is this the year that Lamar Jackson gets it done?
Oh, I don't see. I think that they do. I think that the Ravens have a playoff berth for the first time since 2012. Because I can't see another team right now. The AFC is very, very good, very stacked. Like I feel like
good, but it's also not.
But the
good.
problem with the AFC is I feel like it's just a bunch of teams that just have bad weeks and then they'll have like a comeback week and they're just pop off. Like I've been saying this about the Bills for weeks now. Like I just feel like when the Bills have it all together, they're one of the best teams in the league. Yeah. But it's like for all the rest of these AFC teams, like I feel like it's just like hit or miss. Like and you never know. And like maybe the Chiefs can pull it together and figure it out when it comes to the playoffs. But if the Ravens secure that number 1 seed, I think especially because of that home field advantage. Like M&T Bank is one of the toughest places
and they
to play.
If they play at night, it's gonna be chalked for who. I don't care what you say. That is probably the best game day experience for night games.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
and I've been there, I've experienced it, I've seen it. Like it's tough, and like for teams to have to be coming into the bank and like just all of the support that they would have. Like I'm sure they're gonna have freaking Ray Lewis there, and like it's gonna be insane. Like it's so from this point right now, after this past week 14 or whatever it is that we're at this point, I don't see any other team being able to beat the Ravens, especially at home. So
yeah, I think it depends on what the matchups are. I think the Ravens would beat Kansas City right now. I think they beat the Dolphins. I think the team that matches up the best is probably the Bills. Just because of Josh Allen's play, and the Ravens haven't played a quarterback like Josh Allen. I just feel it. Like this is different than any other year. Like, and I'm sure you can attest to this too. I've said before, like, I think the Ravens are like the best team in the league, and like I never really like felt that like deep down though. And now I'm like, dude, there is no excuse. Like there is no way that this team right now, they have the second best defense in football. They have a top 10 offense. They can score at will. They can throw the ball anywhere across the field. They have playmakers everywhere. They can get Mark Andrews back in the playoffs, which would be insane. Isaiah Likely looks like he could start on almost any team at tight end or be the secondary guy. Like he looks incredible. Like everybody who gets hurt, they're staying healthy, though. But if somebody got hurt, I would feel good about the next guy coming up. Marlon Humphrey got hurt. Rock Ya-Sin came in. They're so deep, and the Todd Monken's offense is so innovative, and so it's so nice to see instead of us running the ball. We're a top 5 team in NFL rushing efficiency, and we're a top 10 passing team as well. Like it's in the bigger stats, not in yards or anything, but it just feels like that this team is ready right now. Lamar is on a mission. He knows he got paid all that money. He say he wants to win a Super Bowl here. If he wins a Super Bowl here, I'm telling you, I'm getting him tatted on my freaking arm. I'm getting him holding a Super Bowl trophy on my arm if they win the Super Bowl this season. I think I said that I would get an ass tattoo of Joe Flacco if the Browns win the Super Bowl or something like that a couple weeks ago.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's bold.
Yeah, that's
real
pretty
bold. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm right there. I'm right there with you, and I think honestly, the Ravens next few weeks are going to be really telling of what type of team this is, because they've got 2 tough matchups in the Dolphins and the 49ers.
And the Jags.
And
That's
the Jags.
I forgot
either. Jags is coming up this Thursday. You're going to that game.
Yeah.
You'll be there. You'll be there in Jacksonville.
I'm really excited. I'm flying out on Thursday. The Ravens are 0-2 when I'm in attendance on the road, but they haven't lost this year when I've been there. So one of them's got to give up.
Maybe a change of the tide. Can we talk about that though for a second? I think that the NFL is rigged, if I'm going to be honest.
Wow.
At this point,
Rigged?
I think it might be a little rigged, to be honest.
Why?
And this might just be a conspiracy, whatever. I mean, betting for sure. Ever since I got into that realm, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, there's some crazy shit.
There's so many bad beats and just freaking unbelievable things that happen. But did you know that the past 2 Super Bowls, that the Super Bowl logo, you know how it's got a color scheme to it? It's had the teams that play in it as the color scheme.
I think I did see something about that.
So Super Bowl 56 2 years ago, orange and yellow, Bengals and Rams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Last year, Super Bowl 57, green and red. We're on that Super Bowl logo. Eagles, Chiefs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This year, guess what the color scheme is?
I'm guessing purple. And is it red?
Red and purple.
Oh, wow.
And just go figure who the number 1 seeds are right now.
49ers and Ravens.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just,
They also came out with I told you this earlier, they came out with an alternate logo. I think the NFL knows. I think you're onto something. I think they know because they came out with an alternate Super Bowl logo this year with blue and red, which would indicate the Cowboys and the Chiefs. So they potentially
have a backup plan.
Yeah, they have a backup plan.
Wow.
So I'm kind of scared about that though, because I'm like, damn, they have a backup plan. They must know something.
They came out with an alternate one in the past 2 years. So
man, that's rough.
Boy.
I really don't want to see Dallas in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That would be rough. And especially Kansas City and Dallas. That would be like, remember when we used to freaking hate when like the Patriots and we would pray that they wouldn't get in, and we would pray that I don't think there was a dominant team. For a while it was Seattle. We didn't want to see the Patriots and Seattle play each other for a while because we thought those two would be dynasties. But man, that's insane.
Yeah, no, it's actually wild to think, and that's when I saw that I was like, whoa, that's kind of worth mentioning. Like and like I said, ever since I got into betting, I'm like, this shit's rigged. It is. I think the NFL was just a little bit rigged.
So should we place a bet on the 49ers and Ravens to play? Can you place a bet on them to play each other? I guess you can bet them to win their conferences, but they're both favorites.
Yeah.
So maybe you can parlay them.
I don't know if you can do it yet. I know you can. I think it might be at the beginning of the playoffs that you can place that. So I might fuck around and throw 100 on Ravens and 49ers, and also I guess Dallas,
it might be like
Dallas
minus 400 though, because they're both. You could parlay them and get like plus money, but it's probably going to be low.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe you should do one on Dallas and Chiefs. That one might get you some more value. Speaking of betting, I'm actually going to place my first 5-unit bet this weekend. And it is on the Ravens game, since I will be in attendance. Ravens are only minus 3.5 right now. That line is sketchy to me. I honestly did not want to place this bet, but I did, because I think there is no way that the Ravens don't trample the Jacksonville Jaguars. So speaking of betting, that is my biggest bet of the year, is Ravens -3, and I'm going to hate my life if they lose outright. I hope they win, but if they lose outright and I lose 5 units on a bet, that is going to hurt. A long flight back.
After traveling all the way down to Jacksonville?
I know. Crazy.
You don't sound very confident in this. So I would say it's your biggest bet of the year, but it's not your bet of the year.
Yeah. It's my biggest bet of the year. I won my bet of the year. I did Kansas City and Miami under. That was the biggest lock of the freaking century. Anytime that you see two, except for Buffalo. Buffalo seems like it always goes over, even though they went under this past weekend. But every time Buffalo's involved, I won't do the under. But if you see like Baltimore and Kansas City play each other, I'm going the under, like 1,000%, because everybody's going to think about offense. And in reality, both of the defenses are really good. And everybody just prays that we have a great game. But usually those big games are not as high scoring as you would imagine. Last AFC North thing that I want to talk about is Mike Tomlin. And we'll make this really quick to end it off. Mike Tomlin, should he be fired if the Steelers do not make the playoffs this season? I know that they don't have Kenny Pickett, but do you think he should be fired? A lot of Steelers fans are calling for his head top.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a big believer in like these legacy coaches like that have done phenomenal throughout their I don't see how you can just like up and fire them out of nowhere. But I also stand on that this league is a different league than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's not the same.
I don't think it's time for him yet. I think since Big Ben left, it's just been a figuring out of who the hell their quarterback's going to be. And obviously, he's not the GM. He's not the one that really wanted to draft Kenny Pickett, I would imagine. So I feel like it's hard to judge these guys when it's when you don't have a good quarterback in this league, you're not going to win games.
Right.
Look at Bill Belichick and the freaking Patriots right now.
Right.
So it's just hard to judge these guys with that. But is it just time? I mean, I feel like the past few seasons it's just been mediocrity. So is it time to move on? Is it time to just start new, start a new slate?
Here's my thing about the Mike Tomlin situation is that Mike Tomlin is a great head coach. Do not get me wrong about that. I think he's a little bit overrated. But I also think, and just to take bias out of it, I think John Harbaugh is a little bit overrated. Speaking of, John Harbaugh had the worst challenge of all time. Did you see that shit? That was the worst challenge I've ever seen.
What was he even challenging?
I have no idea. So if you don't know, I'll pop it up. John Harbaugh has a fucking cannon on him. Did you see him throw that freaking challenge flag? I'm pretty sure he threw it 20 yards in the air.
I did see it come into frame, and it wasn't anywhere near the sideline.
Yeah. So that makes me think that his explanation is okay, but he's been scaring me a little bit.
I genuinely don't know what he was challenging. Aren't you? You're not even
He was trying to challenge that the receiver stepped out of bounds before catching the football, which is fair. But you cannot challenge in or on any scoring play. You're not allowed to challenge. So he loses a timeout. But he comes out afterwards. It seems like he did it to save his ass. And he said, well, I did it because I want some more time before the 2-point conversion to get together and make a play. And they did stop the Rams on the 2-point conversion, which essentially got them into overtime. So huge play. But at the same time, like, why not just call the timeout? Like, why do you got to challenge? He said that it takes more time because they had to deliberate and think about it. And then they get a timeout after. But that it seemed wrong because against the Chargers, he had some questionable shit going on with the challenging. He's the worst challenging coach in the NFL. But anyway, back to Tomlin. Great head coach. Don't think that he fits the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore in the direction that they want to go. They're going to need a new quarterback. Their defense isn't as good as advertised because honestly, like the defense gives up a lot of rushing yards. They're not great against the run. They're decent against the pass. They have some talented playmakers, but I think that these players don't respect Tomlin. I don't know if you saw today, but he said in the press conference today that it is not okay what George Pickens is doing on the sidelines, which is fair. But this is a younger generation who needs to be, needs a little bit more support. Just because these players think that they're more entitled than they used to be, they know that they have more control in this league now. They can ask for trades. They can ask for contract extensions. They can sit out. Like, they feel like they have more control. Yeah. So you need to be a player's head coach. And usually Tomlin is that guy, but I don't think that locker room respects him. And you saw 2 weeks ago when Deontay Johnson scored when they were down like 20 points and he started dancing, like, not a good look and not a good culture. I think they need someone else in there who can relate more with these players in this age of football.
Yeah. No, and I hate that. I fucking hate the point that you just made, but it's true.
It's the truth and it sucks.
It's true. It does. Like I don't feel like there's a bunch of grown men in the NFL anymore. Like I don't. And like I said, I understand it's a business or anything like that, but I miss the times of when it was like you were loyal to your team and you do anything for that team and like no matter what, like yeah.
But now it's hard with all the money involved. It just makes it so difficult.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe Tom Brady was right. Maybe we just have a lot of mediocrity.
Okay, so speaking about Tom and that bullshit, Tom says that the league was, what did he say? He said that the league is now softer, and it wasn't like that, which is true.
A lot of mediocrity going on in the league now. It's his
fucking fault. It's literally Tom Brady's fault why this is happening. The whole knee rule, because he tore his ACL, hitting the knees. The whole court roughing the passer is being called more because of Tom Brady. Like, he wanted it to be like this to protect the quarterback. And then they're like, oh, well, then people were like, well, don't just protect the quarterback. We need to protect the receivers. We need to protect everybody, which is fair. You can't just say I'm going to protect the quarterback and not protect everybody else. And I think they're doing the right thing. It shouldn't go to like two-hand touch, but they have to do some precaution. But it's his damn fault, and it's hypocritical that he says this shit.
For the soft portion, yes, I do understand that.
Yeah, he's soft.
No, I think it's safe to agree he's probably one of the softest NFL players to ever play the game.
Okay, see, I'm back and forth. See? Hold on, opinions change within 2 minutes. Because I think about Tom Brady's toughness in some games, and now I'm like, well, he bitched about all that. He's tough. All right, let me say this. He's tough, but he bitches a lot and gets his way a lot. I'll say that. But he's tough.
Okay.
I would say he's tough, but he's the reason why the league has gone soft. Because he was tough, he could take it, but then he would bitch about it. There we go. I found my way.
Got it.
Found my way around the circle there.
Found the loophole in that one. Got it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I hate to say it. Like, I don't know. I hated Tom Brady when I was younger, growing up, just because they were that dynasty and they won every year. But, like, I ended up becoming a Tom Brady fan towards the end of the career. And then they just, like, got to a point where I was like, we're witnessing history right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's crazy to say that he is the best quarterback, best player of all time, at least accomplishment-wise.
Yeah. I think Mahomes will pass him.
You think so?
Yeah, I think if Mahomes can win more rings. So I think Mahomes is a mixture of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady because he's got the Tom Brady mentality, but he has Aaron Rodgers like talent.
Yep.
And Aaron Rodgers is truthfully, Aaron Rodgers is a better talent of a quarterback than Tom Brady ever was, but Tom Brady was a smarter, more about the team player, and Mahomes is a mix.
I agree. Yeah. Unless Travis Kelce doesn't retire and they don't get rid of Taylor Swift, then I think they're fucked. So.
And we'll end on that. Thank you once again for listening to the I'm Him Sports Podcast. If you guys can just go ahead and go down and hit the subscribe button, that would be a huge help in supporting us. You don't have to watch every single video. If you like this one, just hit the like button and hit subscribe. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. You'll get updates whenever we post something. You can watch it or not. Not that big of a deal, and there will be a huge thank you for doing that. Jake, thank you once again for joining me. The 9/11 comments were skeptical, but I'll let it slide for today. And next week, we might be a little bit later on the podcast. We might even skip next week just because of me going to Jacksonville. I'm going to have a ton of content there, so we'll see how it goes. Jake, I'm going to assign him some content to put out for the next couple days while I'm gone, so you'll see more content. So follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and we're out. Thank you.